Bad Brains, their debut album, one of my favorite albums of all time. This band, to me, I love them so much. I have all their albums. I'm extremely into them for a lot of reasons that I'm going to be mentioning. This is mainly an overview of why I like the Bad Brains. I bought this album on vinyl. I've heard the album countless times on CD. I mainly grew up on CD, but I've had vinyl throughout, and I finally bought the vinyl. I'm proud to have this album. I love this album so much. It's influenced many artists. Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys quoted something along the lines of this being the best hardcore album of all time, and it is truly an amazing album. It's hardcore punk rock. Bad Brains, first of all, started in 1977, and this album was released in 1982. They're a group from DC, from Washington DC, and they seem to be banned from Washington DC because of their performances, I believe. And they actually have a song called "Banned in DC," and it's actually in this record. It's a great song. And they went to New York and just performed CBGBs and other locations. There's actually it's on YouTube, but you can actually purchase the DVD as well. Their live performance at CBGB's, the legendary venue, and the performance is amazing. The frontman HR, he is one of the best to me, one of my favorite, one of the best frontman of all time because of his energy, the way he interacts with the crowd, and you see that in that performance that I mentioned. But there's countless performances on YouTube you can check out. But one thing I love about this hardcore punk rock album is it's everything I want and look for in a hardcore punk rock album. I love punk rock in general, from the 70s through hardcore punk rock, and it's one of my favorite genres, to be honest. And I do have favorites, and this is one of my all-time favorite punk rock albums, hardcore punk rock albums from the early 80s. Same thing, I think it follows along the first Henry Rollins Black Flag album, the Circle Jerks album, Dead Kennedys. This has definitely become one of my favorite albums. I didn't actually started getting into the Bad Brains when I didn't grow up with them as far as listening to their music, because I was into other stuff, but I discovered them in my 30s. And one thing that I found extremely interesting about them was that they're, if I'm not mistaken, the first black collective in hardcore punk, first black hardcore punk rock group. And to me, I see this picture, I think it's freaking amazing. They're just an awesome unit, amazing musicians, and this record has I'm not gonna go track by track because I do recommend you checking it out. It's a very aggressive album, but one thing that I found interesting is they are a punk rock group. However, they're also into reggae, and I had told my son about this, and he loved that. He found it interesting as well and loved the album. That it's hardcore punk rock, and then after a few songs, it slows down, takes a break, starts with the reggae song, and then they go back at it again, and then it slows down again with one reggae track, and then so I've never heard that in an album. I'm a music lover. I love all kinds of music, and I never heard that before. And to me, I found it extremely exciting. I listened to it. I think it's about 35 minutes long. It's not a long album because it's a very fast album, and that's one of the things I liked about the album. Its aggression and its ability to place reggae songs between the extreme aggressive songs, and it works. So Bad Brains, very very unique, very influential punk rock group or musical acts of all time. It's like I said, they've influenced so many musicians. There's a documentary online about the Bad Brains, and there's one recent about HR, the singer, and his condition of mental illness. And I suggest checking those out. It's called Finding Joseph I, something like that. But if you love punk rock, if you're interested in getting into hardcore punk rock music, definitely pick this album up. Just like every musical genre, or most musical genres, such as even rap and hip hop, things evolve. So after the late 70s of the Ramones doing their thing, the Clash, the Sex Pistols, the music in the early 80s started to evolve and change. Punk rock, I'm speaking about, and it transitioned into hardcore punk rock. We were lucky enough to get the Bad Brains, Dead Kennedys, Circle Jerks, Black Flag, and they're on the top, definitely. So check this album out, buy the vinyl. I'm just very, very happy I bought this finally. I'm super excited, pumped about it, and yeah, highly recommend it.